Cheers everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the SpellForce 3 Anniversary Community Patch Spotlight. In part 1, we took a look at the one-on-one duel maps which allowed for some quick and fun PvP gameplay. Today, let's discuss 2 of the PvE options available in this patch, RPG Horde Mode and RTS Horde Mode. If you've been looking for a pure player versus environment experience that you can enjoy with a group of friends, the Horde Mode maps are the right thing for you. Before we start, I'd just like to mention that since I already described the patch and showed some of its non-map components in part 1 of the patch spotlight, I won't be repeating it in this video, but I would recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it yet by clicking the pop-up in the top right corner of this video. I decided to bundle RPG and RTS Horde mode into one video since the general idea behind the two modes is fairly similar. You either have your group of heroes or your army depending on what version you play, which you then use to defend against more and more difficult hordes of enemies, with your ultimate goal being to survive through the 30 waves and escape to freedom. That being said, the RPG and RTS versions play vastly different, with the former pitting only heroes against the enemy, while the latter allows you to first build up a camp and recruit an army in 20 minutes before the onslaught begins, and that army will surely be needed because you'll be taking on some quite massive hordes of enemies. Before I describe the maps, I would just like to mention that all the Horde mode maps, and in fact all the maps in the patch, can be played with both your friends or with bots, as you see me do now in the background, so there's no reason not to give them a go. That being said, they haven't been balanced for bots and they aren't the best allies, so real people are recommended. If you can't find enough to make a full squad with, why don't you join the official SpellForce Discord, link in the description below. You can always search for people to play with there. Alright, let's start with the maps of the RPG version, of which there are 3, each with their own small backstory to help you get immersed into your mission. As a quick side note, all of the maps follow a storyline, so try to decipher it while you're playing. There are 2 maps that aren't Horde mode maps that fit into the story as well, so even though they aren't in this video, I would recommend checking them out as well, since you can install them when you install the patch. Those are Peak Mountains and Draco's Island. The first map is Ashtown, a returning map from the 1v1 duel mode, although with a different story and adjusted aesthetics. Putting you in the middle of a burning city, you and your group of 3 have to fight in order to see another day. The story goes as follows: your town was attacked in the middle of the night. Not only that, but it was set ablaze with no way out but to fight through it. Now, the only choice for you is to die or to fight, until none of the invaders are left standing. The second map is Green Woods, putting you in the shoes of expedition members in an old castle placed deep within a labyrinth-like forest. Your team was sent there on an expedition to discover new herbs when you felt watched. Suddenly, you saw bandits and monsters heading your location, cutting off all escape paths. Even though inexperienced, you must fight to press on. The third and final RPG Horde map is called Old Catacombs, in which you and your group witness a summoning spell going very wrong. You know that you screwed up and don't dare to think what might happen if these creatures reach the world above, so instead of running, you stand your ground and clean up the mess you've created. Each of these 3 maps feature different aesthetics and layouts, so I'd highly recommend trying them all and seeing which one fits you the most. One more gameplay mechanic of the RPG Horde maps is, of course, the merchant located in the starting area. He is, without a doubt, pivotal for your survival, offering you useful items, potions and scrolls that reset every few rounds. Don't forget that most of the gold needed for those is scattered around the map, so don't sit in a corner for too long and go out explore. Now let's move on to the RTS Horde maps. Like I said before, these allow you to, as the name suggests, build up a whole army in addition to having your heroes to defend against the enemy. The principle behind them is similar to the RPG ones, but there is one quirk that could make it more of a challenge to some. In the middle of each of these maps there is a VIP that you must protect at all costs or otherwise risk failure. Unlike the RPG Horde maps, moving too much here is ill-advised, because once the enemy break through your lines of defense, it's only a short way towards the center. The 2 maps here are the Jewel of the Swamp and the White Desert, which also connect to the story. Those 2 actually have orders written to you via letters, which I'll show on the screen right now. You can pause the video to read them if you want, but they will be added to your SpellForce 3 directory once you have the patch installed. Before we end it, take note of this lobby setup, which should be used when playing these maps. Make sure you and your team are set as Team 1, and the final slot is the enemy on Team 5. And those would be the maps for both RPG and RTS Horde mode. Like I said at the start, both require you to hold out against 30 waves of enemies, which offers you up to 90 minutes of playtime on a single map. It might start slow, but don't underestimate it or you'll be run over in no time. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating and sharing is always appreciated. Also, consider subscribing not to miss any further community spotlight or SpellForce lore videos. Like I mentioned earlier, if you'd like to play these with people but you don't have any friends to play with, you can join the official SpellForce Discord in the description. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.